Hey, what up? This is Zach Guilford from Midnight Mass, and you're listening to one of my favorite podcasts, Pop Culture Pester.
Cody, I think renovating houses to match your favorite fictional character's abode should be more of a thing. Like, think about if you could live in Bruce Wayne's Wayne Manor, complete with Batcave.
Basically already do.
What? Oh, okay. That'd be amazing. You must
With
have.
the exception of I don't have millions or billions to actually renovate my
I say
my house.
your
to
house. The cave would probably be like 20 times bigger than the house.
it would be gigantic compared to the house. I would sell for living in Richie Rich's home
Oh man, I haven't thought about Richie Rich in years.
or Scrooge McDuck's.
Scrooge McDuck. Yeah, that
'Cause
would work because he has a money pit. What do
Yeah.
you even call that?
The pool of gold that you can dive into.
That's always a dream, isn't it? It's weird. That was one thing. I'm generally not a fan of the Hobbit movies. I was a huge fan of the Lord of the Rings movies, obviously, but the Hobbit movies I just thought were terrible, and they tried too hard to make it longer, so they added stuff, and I just didn't like it. But one thing I thought they got right about that movie was the way Smaug's stash looked. That was completely how I envisioned it, and maybe it was because I watched too much DuckTales. I don't know, or
Yeah.
whatever show that was that DuckTales
It was.
with Uncle Scrooge? Yeah. And so, yeah, that's just everyone our age probably wanted a Scrooge McDuck money vault pool.
I just want a friend named Launchpad McQuack. I would
like that
settle.
too. Yeah. Voiced by Owen Wilson.
Yes.
I think preferably. Because here's the thing. I was thinking about this because somebody actually bought the Brady Bunch house. Did you hear about this?
Ew.
Apparently, HGTV was renovating the Brady Bunch house for a show, and then I don't know that. Well, they were asking something outrageous for it, $5.5 million for the Brady Bunch house, and they renovated it to make it look like the Brady Bunch's house. So you if you go in there, you would see that it looked just as you would remembered it if you were a huge fan of the Brady Bunch.
Is the yard AstroTurf?
That's an interesting question, and I think I would need to know that. The person that bought it, art collector and property, or I guess real estate mogul,
Sweet.
Tina Trahan bought it. She bought it for $2 million less than they were asking for it.
Suckers.
So HGTV had to just like unload it. And she said she was just buying it as a piece of art. She didn't buy it as a property investment because people were making fun of her. They said it was a bad investment. Although I'm just like, really?
It's a home.
Why do we do that? Why do we read news stories about something somebody did? And like, look, I don't know who Tina Trahan is, but I'm guessing this much. She apparently has money.
A few pesos to her name.
If she can just decide, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to buy the Brady Bunch house. If she could just decide that on a whim, I'm thinking she's someone who has money. And in this day and age of the internet, somebody got on the internet. Apparently, multiple people got on the internet and went, this was their reaction to it. Oh, that's such a bad investment. Oh, what are you doing? I wouldn't have done that. And of course, it's always this dude who can't afford to go to McDonald's, Why do we do that?
I mean, there is a double-edged sword when you buy a home and you only use it as art piece. You're barking up the Richie Rich elite totem pole.
Is it because she's rich, obviously rich, and that's why people have a problem?
Yes.
Because, I mean, she comes out and says it. She says, well, right, it's not an investment. It's just I bought it as a piece of art. And if you're a fan of the Brady Bunch show, I could totally see it. Yeah, why not?
She's also the wife of former HBO chief Chris Albrecht. So she has some dinero.
Wow. Really? Really, really, really? How old is Chris? Because I'm looking at a picture of her. She doesn't look very old.
I don't know how old Chris is.
Yeah, let's not go down that road. So the Brady Bunch house is off the market. Just in case you needed to know that.
I want the Partridge Family home bus.
Gosh, I never even watched that. I thought I remember that house. Then I'm like, nope, that was 8 is enough. Does Dick Van Patten come with the house? Or I'm trying to think of other famous houses in TV shows. But
The Beverly Hillbillies.
This probably
mansion.
deserves its own episode because at this point, people don't know that, yes, this is Pop Culture Pastor.
Spoilers.
The podcast. And my name's Dave. Cody's here.
I am.
And welcome. We're happy to be here with you, to be back with you, I suppose. Although we had a podcast last week, but we took a break before that. So we're still kind of getting back in the swim of things.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're just going to talk about some different things that are going on. And is there anything you'd like to talk about, Cody? Anything of note in the last week that you just like to, I don't know. Anything happen?
Rumors are my friend Travis is dating my other friend Taylor.
Oh, well, okay.
That's a whole...
Hold the phone because that's newsworthy.
That is.
I never thought that we would have a serious Kansas City Chief talking point on Pop Culture Pastor.
I always knew the day would come.
And Travis Kelce comes through for us again.
Single-handedly.
Because about a couple weeks ago, this rumor starts flying that Travis Kelce is dating Taylor Swift. And that eek you just heard was all the Swifties thinking up whatever the next breakup song is going to be. I've seen some good ideas already. Your wife had a good idea for what the breakup song is going to be titled.
Yeah, something like Stadium Lights.
Yeah, that was genius, and I stole it in a conversation. I gave her credit.
I will say, both my friend Travis and Taylor and myself are all 89ers. And that means something to Swifties.
Oh, that's interesting. You were all born in 1989.
Yeah.
Man, Travis Kelce's old.
He is. I am too.
For a football player. We can't count on him being this productive for too much longer.
Well, he has not helped my fantasy team yet, so.
No. Yeah, well, if you were in the celebrity dating league like I am, he's helping you immensely.
Yes.
Drafted him thinking nothing of it. Now he's dating the hugest of celebrities, Taylor Swift.
I mean, she literally had $1 billion tour.
Side note, celebrity dating league. We should totally do that. That would be fantastic. How would that even work? You draft from a pool of middling D-list type people that are known that might date someone huge. And then you get points for however huge they are. Travis Kelce's killing it.
I don't know if Travis is dealing. I would go C. Oh. He's a C-rated celeb. Yeah. He hosted Saturday Night Live.
He's one of those athletes that could totally go into acting and stuff after he's done.
Don't be like OJ.
Yeah. No. So yeah, there was all these rumors popping up, and then Jason. This was like I kept seeing all these headlines yesterday, so I went to Colorado for 5-6 days. And when I got home last night, I'm looking at headlines, and they're like, confirmed. Kelce and Taylor Swift confirmed. And all it was Jason Kelce said something off the cuff Travis's brother about. Did he actually confirm it, or did he just say, I could see it? Was that what he said?
So the quote said 100%. So
100%.
I don't know if he was joking with that or not, because I didn't listen to it. I was like, if the headlines are this serious, she's going to be at the next home game. It's happening.
Is that what you want? What's the goal here? Why is everyone so excited about this? Because you are for non-Swifties. Is it just because we're Chiefs fans and we just want Taylor Swift to be a Chiefs fan? Do you want Taylor and Patrick Mahomes' wife, Brittany, and like who else in the box together?
I want Travis to be happy. I also want Taylor to be happy.
Look at you. There's no ulterior motive at all. You're so pure.
I am.
You're so pure. Well, okay, now put yourself in the shoes of the average Chiefs fan. Why are we so invested in this?
Because Travis is finally getting the national coverage he deserves.
Because if I'm just, if I'm taking a step back and I'm just analyzing as a pastor, I would say, well, here's my issue that gives me nervous feelings. Travis Kelce through the start of preseason to now has been like younger, angrier Travis.
He has been a little saucy.
Which denotes that there's something in his life that we don't know about that's going on that's kind of aggravating him a little bit.
I will tell you, if you've ever been to Jacksonville, Florida in the heat, you would get a little angsty too.
Yeah, I went to Jacksonville once and I just started punting footballs into the crowds. Yeah, you want a football? Poof, here's a football. Get your anyways. So that's, of course, is that national news or is it just big around here because
it's national?
Okay.
Because like all the sports shows that don't even talk about the Chiefs are talking about Travis and Taylor.
So it's okay to say that everybody's talking about it.
I may have talked about it during a therapy session. Not going to lie.
Interesting. Okay, so we've also got one piece of news before we move into other thing. No. It's not about One Piece, but we are talking about One Piece later on.
I see what you did there.
We're going to try and do this all in one take, by the way. Usually we separate out the show, and this morning we're in a hurry. We're recording in the morning.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and we're just going to record it all in one little spot.
It's almost fully live.
The world's first Christian fan-owned movie studio. Have you heard about this?
I saw it.
They're coming out with their first theatrical release. And I'm just sitting here like, wait, Christian fan-owned? How does that work? Called Hire Studios. The world's first Christian fan-owned movie studio. That's what they call themselves on their website. So that's not an analysis.
Okay.
But it details how its funding works. So it's similar to Angel Studios, the people that do The Chosen.
Yes.
Crowdfunded company relies on investors and donors to support their projects, which were delayed briefly due to the pandemic. And this guy, Jason Brown, a producer for Called Hire Studios. He says, we have thousands of investors. I always joke and say we had a 3-year plan, and then COVID hit and we just had to hit pause. So we basically paused life for a year and then kind of got back on track. Movies inherently take a long time to put together, but this one worked out really well. So he's talking about their first official drop. So I know what you were thinking. You were thinking just what we needed. More Christian movie studio movies.
I've been waiting for so long.
Where is Kirk Cameron going to find work if we don't have more Christian movie studios?
That's the question, really.
What about the other girl, the girl who left Hallmark because it just wasn't Christian-y enough?
Candace Cameron Bure?
Yeah, Candace Cameron Bure. So she'll, this is good news for her as well, I would assume.
And Kevin Sorbo.
And Sorbo. One day we'll have to do like a whole show on just Christian movie studio actors and actresses, and like because do a list from most likely to least likely of who would get work in real movie studios.
/ why were all their projects trash before?
Because Kevin Sorbo would probably be near the bottom of that list. Candace Cameron Bure can obviously still go out and get work.
She can.
Kirk Cameron would be near the bottom of the list. Do you think it's because of acting ability, or is it because he's just a political button you wouldn't want to put in your movie now?
So,
if you were a secular movie studio.
If he was willing to go back to the Mike Seaver days,
yeah,
I think he can find work in sitcoms.
If Kirk Cameron were here and we asked him, why don't you ever try to be in secular movies and shows again, like some of the other artists who are Christian, what do you think he would say?
He would probably talk about how they constantly try to force you to do things against your moral sensibilities.
Okay. That would be best case scenario, because I would be afraid that he would say something like, well, they just stopped calling me because I'm being persecuted. Just like, how big's your house, bro? You're being persecuted, really? That's what I'm afraid he would say.
I think he made a few dollars off Fireproof.
So yeah, anyways, their first movie, this crowd-funded slash
now, what's the name of the studio
Christian
again?
fan-owned movie studio called Higher Studios.
So, like, I'm not going to lie. I went to my secular mind when you first said it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, this sounds something like maybe a Cheech and Chong studio.
First movie stars Dave Chappelle, Jim Brewer, and Abba Zaba candy bars.
Yep.
And if you know, you know. But called Higher Studios, and we've talked about all this before. Because I would say, like, look, some people would say, oh, the Christian movie, construct is broken. I'm like, no, it's not. It does exactly what it's supposed to do.
It makes money.
Yes. Listen, I am more intrigued by this, where it's actual people who are invested in the movie company, than the movie companies themselves that just do it, because they're just putting out content that makes you feel good about yourself. And of course, you're naturally going to want to give money to that and support it. Right? Am I wrong? They make you feel good about being a Christian because all the movies are full of the very Christianese things. Like, think about a movie like War Room. Fireproof would be example. Any movie with Kirk Cameron, really.
Left Behind
makes you feel good about being a Christian, and not just any kind of Christian, very specifically an American Christian.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that this is going to be one that I might have negative thoughts about once the movie comes out.
Yeah.
Now, I myself have invested in a movie before. This is a true story.
Like
a major...
Giving it your own money.
Yes. A major motion picture.
Okay, it's a major motion picture. Everybody!
So you've heard of Zach Braff?
Yes, I thought you were going to say Zach Morris, but
no.
Yeah, we'll go with Zach Braff.
Yeah, from Scrubs and Garden State and a bunch of other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He had a fan funded
like
movie.
A Kickstarter?
Yep, he did it through Kickstarter.
So what'd you get from it?
I got 5 pieces of artwork, one of them autographed by Zach Braff.
Oh, wow.
And
that's in your house? You just keep that in your house and not
Yeah.
like a vault or anything?
Yeah, that's in my house. And one of them has Stanley from The Office, because he goes to this casting call out and he thinks that he'd be good for the role, and then turns out it's all African-American actors. He misread the role. Anyway, And I got a shirt from it, and it is the softest shirt. I still have it like probably 12 years later. So,
And Cody called up his friend Zach Braff and said, "Where did you get these shirts?
yes,
These are wonderful."
I wish I was here. So,
I remember that movie.
It was really good.
Yeah, I remember that.
It had
I didn't know that
Mandy in it.
I didn't know that was crowdfunded.
Yeah, by me.
Cody pretty much funded the whole thing. He made all the tens and tens of dollars
So
in royalties it made.
you all are welcome for me putting out quality entertainment.
So Called Hire Studios, their first movie's coming out. A Christian fan-owned movie studio. It's called now. I was surprised because they actually have some people you might recognize in it. Camp Hideout, because of course the first Christian movie is going to be about Christian camp.
Well, it's a relatable experience because I think, like, especially before Gen Z, a lot of parents viewed the church as like, we were drug here as kids, so now we got to drag our kids here. And church camp was a thing.
Oh, but the church folks, they do not describe it as being drug. I don't know what it's like in your denomination, but in the group I'm in, man, it is all about camp. Everybody has
kids,
great memories at camp.
You talk about camp.
Half the pastors at like our big yearly annual pastor meetings will raise their hand. It's like, raise your hand if you got your calling at camp, and like half the arms in the room go up.
Jabronis.
Well, why? Why? What's wrong with that?
Church camp.
Oh, what? So your denomination, not the camp people.
No, they love camp.
Oh.
I'm not the camp person.
Oh, look and listen, I'm with you. Camp's terrible.
Yeah.
I am just, and by the way, that's totally a subjective opinion.
It's objective.
We're having a little fun with it. We get it that a lot of you really, really love camp. And I'm glad that the people that love camp get to go to that. But as a youth pastor who's gone to camp, I'm just not an outdoorsy person, and I'm not a sleeping with other people in the room type person.
Smells like teen spirit.
Oh, yeah. Well, one of the worst parts. Although, if you get a small enough group, you can kind of exert some control, and it can be not so bad. But yeah, it's like Russian roulette.
Yeah.
Oh, who's going to be in the cabin with us? The kid who doesn't take showers. Yeah, so it's a camp movie called Camp Hideout, and it stars Christopher Lloyd. Doc Brown's in it.
We got Doc Brown.
We got Christopher Lloyd? How'd we do that? We paid him.
Star of Dennis the Menace.
The studio's website asks, what if Christians came together to spread the name of Christ through movies? That's
Has the other studios not been trying to do that? I mean, there's a handful of other studios out there that are Christian that get movies circulated everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I would assume their calling's very similar.
So Christopher Lloyd, pretty much the only one I recognize here. Corbin Blue?
Yeah! High School Musical! Yeah!
Yes. As you just heard, was in High School Musical. Ethan Drew.
That's a name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was in the Krampus Origins.
Oh, Krampus.
Amanda Layton, that's a familiar name. She's been a voice in all the Trolls movies and some other
and she's in Camp Hideout.
Some very teenage looking things. Sasha Clements, she looks familiar. What has she been in? Looks like she's been in one of the Hallmark Christmas movies. I see that. Yeah, nobody you know. Nobody know. Joshua Childs? No. Just
son of Julia.
So anyways,
maybe not.
This is a movie that exists, and listen, here's something really interesting though. Camp Hideout right now, 83% on Rotten Tomatoes audience score. Yeah, I had you for a second. You were like, oh?
I was going to say, I might disown Rotten Tomatoes if the critics are giving it an 83%.
It does not have enough critical review yet to give a score. It only has 3 reviews, and I'll say this: only one of the 3 are fresh.
Oh.
The other 2 are not fresh.
So they need you and I to watch this to give it more critical reviews.
Yeah. So the good review, the blurb says the action hijinks are both exciting and funny. The cast is good and the direction keeps the momentum at a steady pace. All right. Not bad.
I do need a steady pace if I'm watching this.
The first not fresh review says there isn't much here and there's absolutely nothing here we haven't seen in every other summer camp comedy on film or on TV. Well, okay. But honestly, if you're watching a summer camp movie, that's what you're there for. I would say, yeah, they're not supposed to be wildly different. Anyways, he says, including the fact that Christopher Lloyd's on board. So I guess he's saying that it just makes sense that Christopher Lloyd would be playing, your head camp guy, the owner of the camp. The next non-fresh, the last review says, I wonder how the filmmakers reconcile a desire to honor Christianity with their story's very un-Christian implication that it's totally okay and kind of fun to commit physical violence toward your enemy. Well, you don't know many Christians, sir.
An eye for an eye, buddy.
I think it's going to play pretty well to the Christian audience. These days we put out family photos with us all holding guns.
I do not.
Good for you. Good for you. Anyways, this is a movie that's coming out. The poster's like artwork. It's like a comic book. And that's original and creative. I haven't seen that kind of stuff since the 80s. It's something we should bring back.
Maybe we should watch Heavyweights and claim that we watched this.
Okay, let's watch Heavyweights and then this movie when it comes out back to back. Heavyweights into Camp Hideout. And then
Oh, that could be so sad.
I think that would be good. Okay. We wanted to talk here in the first segment a little bit about Okay. So let's just intro this the way we want to intro it. A couple weeks ago, at the first week of NFL games, something weird happened at the Los Angeles Chargers football game. It was that game, right?
L.A. Chargers,
L.A.
/ or L.A. Rams. It might have been both.
This new movie, The Creator, that's coming out,
looks amazing.
It does.
Has John David Washington in it?
Yeah. That's Denzel's son, correct?
It is Denzel's son.
And he looks like he's an amazing talent. And the movie, the trailers looks great. Directed by Gareth Edwards, who I believe did the Godzilla movie.
Sure, why not? I'll give you credit for it.
He was also the director of Rogue One.
Hey, that was fun.
Maybe not. I don't know. Definitely did Godzilla though. Anyways, he is doing this movie, The Creator, and it's essentially, from what I can tell from the trailer, about AI and humans fighting. That old yarn.
A tale as old as time.
And do you think that's what wiped out ancient civilizations? Like the dude on Netflix who tries to prove that the pyramids are all way older than anybody thinks. Do you think that's what he thinks, that there were humans that lived here that got technologically advanced and they created AI and AI did away with them?
Aliens created the AI.
Aliens created the AI. Okay. Naturally. That's what he believes. It's always aliens.
Yes.
Anyways, it's a movie where this guy who's trying to infiltrate the AI and save the humanity from being eradicated, he comes across what I believe is a child who's got they've got the headset things to make sure you know that they're not human.
Yes.
Anyways, several of these random people dressed up like the AI people in Creator showed up to this Los Angeles Chargers football game.
They did.
And just kind of sat in the crowd. While the crowd stood up, they just remained sitting down, straight-faced. So it's kind of like an acting job.
So this level of advertisement's growing in popularity.
Yeah.
And dare I say, assuming all they had to pay for was a ticket or a couple tickets into the game, it is great, like, marketing just to get, like, your movie noticed. Because, like, I don't know how many people share, like, look
Yeah.
at these creepy people.
Because it goes viral.
Yes.
So, because they're just sitting there and they're wearing, they look like robots because they got the things on their head. And I will say, they've got Hollywood makeup people at their disposal. So they looked legit weird. Everybody's like else is standing up and cheering the game, and they're sitting there in their chairs all straight faced. They're not cracking, they're not breaking character. So you also have to get people dedicated to the craft of acting.
Oh, yeah.
Stunt acting in a way too, because you're doing it out in the wild. Because, like, listen, if you've never been to an NFL game, there's drunk people there.
What?
And that was the first thing I thought of was like, oh, what did they have to put up with and remain in character while there? Because there was some drunk people that gave them issues.
Oh, yeah. Which I will say that the typical NFL fan probably not going to do a whole lot besides, like, bump their shoulder and be like, hey, high five, buddy. Touchdown.
Yeah, but there's always
But there's a few unrulies that will make their way around.
We're literally 2 weeks into the NFL season, and I saw an article that collected all the brawls that have happened in NFL stadiums already this season.
Sadly, there's been a death from one of them.
No, really?
Mm-hmm.
People, it's not worth it, people. Don't do that. That's what I love. I used to love going to Chiefs games. I didn't get a chance to go to a whole lot of them, but a few in my lifetime. And I would love to share that experience with my kids, but I just don't feel like it's an environment I want to put my kids in. I know that makes me sound fuddy-duddy, but like every time I go, there's a fight or a brawl.
I just hate getting in and out of the parking lot.
Well, that's terrible too.
It is Dante's Inferno, the 7th level. I'm there. Yeah, it's awful.
So they did some stunt casting. It got some viral attention. Very similar to a year or two ago for the horror movie Smile, which
I'm smiling right now.
It always made me think of the Joker in the 1989 Batman, like because he had like this chemical he was putting into the water supply or whatever.
As the Joker does.
And people, when they would become infected by it, they would smile very fakely like the Joker. But they had placed people at baseball games. And some of them got like behind the backstop, behind the home plate.
Oh, yeah.
So it was really effective because they were just sitting back there with their weird smiles, but not changing their affect in any way. They just stayed like that the whole game. And so it was creepy. Which is
awesome.
It was exactly the vibe the movie wanted because it was a scary movie.
The movie itself really wasn't that bad.
Okay. Here's my question though. Did that stunt marketing thing make you want to see the movie, or were you going to see the movie anyways?
Being married to who I'm married to, I was going to see that movie anyways.
Yeah.
Which this movie, the creator, I was going to see anyways because the story looked intriguing. The trailer gave off some very Genesis creation vibes. And then I do like Denzel's son. He's good at acting.
Yeah, well, exactly. The trailer, though, was good enough to rope most people in, I think. Because what I want to know is this worth it? Because you have to pay these people who are actors. And I'm assuming this isn't the bottom of the barrel rate. Like, you're putting these actors in an uncontrolled situation, so I'm assuming they have to pay more for that.
I assume not.
You don't think so?
No.
If
the writer's strike has taught me anything, these studios will find the bare minimum to do it. And you could pay me $500 and buy my ticket. I will sit at Arrowhead with one of these things on my head.
For what it's worth, we are going to talk about the strike, I think, next week.
Sweet.
Just kind of go over it and maybe even have a guest. I'm working on it.
Dave knows people.
Yeah. So we're planning on talking about the strike more in depth. But yeah, okay. Well,
I'm also non-unionized. So if that helps the studios.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're non-unionized. I would hate to have to deal with your union to record this podcast.
Thank you.
So they do this stunt marketing, not casting. And you think this is effective?
I think that if it gets 10,000 people to go to the movie or rent it after it comes out or stream it after it comes out, then yeah, it did its job. It creates enough buzz that you don't have to pay for commercials to remind people, hey, this movie comes out in 2 weeks. You literally are getting free television like coverage because the cameras will pan to them eventually. And then people will be like, did you see this at the game? And then you'll have 150,000 people tweet about it. You'll get 5 million probably view it. And then you'll get all the Instagram likes and views and all the TikToks about the people and how they're really moving robotically and they barely blink.
Yeah, the viral nature of it is kind of wild because I don't know if I would have ever even heard of the horror movie Smile if it weren't for the viral action they got from the stunt marketing by placing people at athletic events. I don't know if I'd have ever heard about it or thought about it, but so there's something to that viral because it is kind of evolved from something that was already out there. Do you remember Borat? You remember the movie Borat?
Sadly, yes.
Not a fan. Sacha Baron Cohen. And the movie was set up like a fake documentary anyways. Like it's just following this real guy around, not Sacha Baron Cohen playing a part. But if you remember, before that movie came out, Secret Service officers prevented Sacha Baron Cohen as Borat, dressed fully in character, from entering the White House, where he had hoped to invite the premier George Walter Bush. So he actually tried to go into the White House
and get dubs,
dressed in character with a camera behind him to do this. And so there was like some stunt marketing going on there, which is kind of Sacha Baron Cohen's thing, though. That was what he did. The only other thing before that I really thought of was the Blair Witch Project, which was another scary movie. It seems like scary movies, this is prime area for them.
Because if you can make it seem like it's grounded in some sort of reality,
yes,
then you add to the scare factor and to the intrigue.
So if you take the Blair Witch Project, just the movie by itself, and you knew it was a movie going in and they didn't do any of that kind of marketing, you would have watched it and been like, wow, that was kind of boring.
Yeah.
I just spent 2 hours, following some kids around the wood, and then some creepy stuff happened at the end.
With some shaky camera work.
Yeah, getting a little nauseous from the shaky cam. But it was preceded for maybe like 6 months before it came out with all these kind of fake internet reports, so that there were people who generally thought this was found footage because it was the first quote unquote found footage movie.
Yes, in which the people didn't know until like the MTV Movie Awards when the cast came out.
Yeah,
that they're all still
they're
alive.
Not dead. Right. And so they actually convinced people because the internet was still pretty new, and people just really believed that it was a found footage.
My friend Albert Gore had not put up safeguards.
No,
yet
not
on
yet.
The internet.
It is, and it worked. The movie is the Guinness Book of World Record holder for the highest box office compared to budget So box office to budget ratio, it cost them only $35,000 to make, but made more than $140 million in the United States and $248 million worldwide.
I don't know what they spent the extra $34,000 on, because I had guesstimated it was about $1,000.
This cost us $20 and a case of Bud Light. That's what it cost them.
That
to pay
was
the
my
actors.
guess.
No. So I don't know. Do you think this works? Like, is the creator going to get any more buzz off of this? Because now I think we're a little bit more aware of stunt marketing. And I would almost even say, I feel like stunt marketing's played out. I would have said that before the Smile thing last year. And now you've got Smile, and now you've got the creator. Do you think this works?
I think, especially when you see how much money Warner Brothers wasted for The Flash on advertising,
Wasted.
that if they had done this stunt marketing where you might be out, let's say $20,000 at most, hopefully, and you just had Flash people at random football games or baseball games, they would have saved like $100 million in advertisement loss.
Yeah.
And marketing loss. So I think if you are trying to be a frugal company, and like you already know there's certain people that are going to go watch this movie no matter what, they just need to know the date. And there's certain people that sci-fi is not their thing, because this is going to be sci-fi-y. You are going to create a viral storm that just reminds people, hey, this movie comes out in 2 weeks. And so I think it does its purpose. It might not get any more people in, but it might be a lot cheaper to do.
It would be interesting to know if they had planned on doing this the whole time, or if this was something the strike caused. So because of the strike, none of these actors or people involved in making these movies can go out and do the press tours.
I'm not going to do a press tour unless you pay me.
Yeah. And so, you know, if they want Cody to do their press tours, just call us, Universal Studios, because clearly, why wouldn't you want Cody to go out and do press tours? That would be the best thing for your movie. While the strike's happening, give us a call.
I will be a scab.
A movie company calls. But let's just see what movies come out this week. Movies, Google. Movies that come out this week or soon. Soon. Thank you, Google, for completing that for me. Movies that come out soon. Fandango.com. Getting free shout out as we talk about what movies are coming out here that we could go out and do stunt marketing for. Oh, these movies are all terrible. Why aren't there any good movies coming out?
List them off.
The Saw X.
Okay,
so the
Saw
creators
number 10
of Saw X say, Cody, we're going to send you out on a press tour because you're not an actor, nor are you involved with the making of this movie in any way. And what about Aquaman 2?
Yeah.
Your job is to go out and pump up Aquaman 2. We're sending you on a press tour. Let's role play. I'll be the guy, the interviewer. Okay, so we have here, welcome to Inside Edition. My name is, I don't know.
Billy.
I'm here with Cody Haviland, who is a therapist / amateur podcaster.
/ pastor.
/ pastor. That's the third one. And you're here to talk to us about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Now, you had no part in the making of this movie.
No,
but you're
none at all.
You're who the movie studio sent. Why?
I'm a big DC guy, so I can tell you all about it. It is basically underwater Star Wars, but with but with superheroes.
Oh no!
So yes, this is going to be great.
I think this is a great idea, and I think people should call us.
I will tell you, Willem Dafoe is not in this. So if you are just going to see Willem Dafoe, save your money.
He's not. Was he supposed to be in it?
He's in Aquaman 1.
I forgot about that. That movie obviously was so good to stick in my conscience that I've totally misremembered that William Dafoe was actually in that.
There's probably 15 seconds of Amber Heard. If that is something that you were intrigued by.
Listen, that's 15 more seconds than Johnny Depp wants to see. All right. We've talked enough about that. The stunt marketing. So bottom line, you think it works?
I think it does its purpose.
Yeah.
And is more cost effective.
Like we're to the point where I don't even know that people need to know about what a movie's about. Just go viral.
Yes.
Do stunt marketing and go viral, and I think that's more effective, which is a weird thing to say.
They should have had Christopher Lloyd live from a church camp.
Yeah. That would have been awesome. Hey, we're going to take a break. We'll come back and talk about One Piece coming up.
Pop Culture Pastor.
Okay. Welcome back to Pop Culture Pastor, where we say, I am Dave D. Rimbolt, and I'm going to be king of the podcasts.
Yes.
And you have no idea what I'm talking about unless you've been watching One Piece, either the Netflix show or the anime that it's based on.
Or the manga that the anime is based off of.
Yeah, so, okay.
Now we're getting into terms you've never heard
For
before
the
on this show.
uninitiated, the manga is like the comic book form.
Yep.
And the anime is the animated form. Mm-hmm. And now it is. First of all, let's just get this out on the table. One Piece is one of the largest IPs in the world.
Shockingly.
I had no idea. No clue. I'd heard of One Piece, but I'm not a big anime guy, and I know nothing about manga.
I'm all about Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
That's where our fandom begins and ends in the realm of anime and manga or manga.
And I don't think that would be rare. I think there's a lot of people like you who have brief forays, especially over a certain age. Mm-hmm. I would say if you're over the age of 30.
I am.
You got a lot of people like Cody who have brief forays into the realm.
Sailor Moon
of manga or anime. Brief forays. Then you have the people under 30 who I think are your hardcore. Now, there's probably people over 30 that are hardcore.
Oh, yeah. I know a few.
Who've been into it for quite some time. But I think there's mostly a lot of people under 30 if we are judging by what we see at comic conventions.
It's a little scary.
Yeah, pop culture convention type things is the younger people are really into the anime.
I'm like, I don't know why you're dressed up as a giant chainsaw man.
We're like, I don't know what you are, but that's impressive. This conversation would go a lot better if we were into anime.
Yep. Sorry.
A lot of Sailor Moon, a lot of the Chainsaw Man guy.
My Hero Academia.
Yeah. So all that stuff is out there. And I'd vaguely heard of. The weird thing is, though, when we've gone to conventions, we haven't seen a lot of One Piece cosplay.
So I feel like if there is a character, it's been Sanji.
Yes. Sanji.
But Sanji also looks like he could be the Cowboy Bebop people.
Yeah. And it's mainly because Sanji's got nice hair and he's dressed up like a waiter.
A fancy waiter.
Like from a fancy restaurant. Yeah. A maitre d'. He looks like a maitre d'.
That's a big word.
And yeah. So anyways, we just kind of randomly got into this because we saw that Netflix had come out with a live action One Piece, so now we're real actors and my daughter wanted to watch it. Actually, my oldest daughter, Ayla, wanted to watch One Piece, and I was like, I don't know, man. I'm just not into the anime. It's weird for me. I just don't get into it. And then I started seeing things, hearing things about it, and how it was the first week it was out. It was the most watched thing on Netflix.
Weirdly, I saw a commercial for it. Like,
You saw a commercial for it?
during the football games last weekend. I'm like, Netflix is advertising and this? Like, they were pushing it.
That's a weird place to advertise that. I wouldn't think there'd be a huge cross section of anime to NFL fans.
So I do know quite a few of the younger Chiefs players were really big into anime.
Wow.
Former Chief Colin Saunders to list one of them. So
Okay. So I sat down and we started watching this, my daughter and I, and we watched the first 2 episodes. And I believe that's when I told Cody, okay, you have to watch this. You have to watch this show, because here's what I'm going to say. It's wildly entertaining.
it is.
It's just super fun. It was fun. I think more than anything, what I felt like is like I think for the non-anime initiated, you have to power through the weirdness of it, the first episode. Because it's got all the anime sensibilities, right? And weird little plot details.
Loved it.
But you admit that there's a weirdness to it.
Oh, yeah. So, like, early on, I'm like, this is kind of Scott Pilgrim versus the World vibes.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm here for this. Now, it was at that moment I thought my wife really hated Scott Pilgrim versus the World. That's on her. But she will not watch this with me. And for a while, she refused. But then she kind of got into the story towards the end of it.
Yeah. So right off the bat, our main character, who is this young man named Monkey D. Luffy.
Luffy.
He's grown up hard. He's got like single mom from what I can tell, because we never see a dad.
We do not.
And we don't talk about much about it, which makes me think that that's going to be a plot thread later.
It will be.
Oh, you're saying it as a matter of fact. Because we do meet his, by the way, there will be some spoilers here. So if you're like, look, getting something spoiled won't destroy your fun of this show. That's not what it's about.
So I will say, I have a couple of kids that I have talked to that are really big into anime, and they're like, oh, they're setting up this, and this. And I'm like, don't spoil this.
Yeah, right. So we actually meet a family member. It's a surprise thing. One of the characters turns out to be a family member of monkeys.
Yes.
And there are heavy implications in a conversation near the end of the series, season 1, that Monkey's dad is somebody.
Somebody cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's this weird, like, oh, everybody's related to everyone. There's also the weird anime vibe of the Marine guy, the leader, wearing an animal hat.
Yes.
I don't know what that's about, but it's in there.
I was here for it.
In the first episode, he meets a young man who turns out to be his friend named Kobe. And he's an interesting cat.
Yeah, so Kobe was in
Evil Dead Rise.
Evil Dead Rise, yes.
He was also in the 2000. He's apparently a child actor from Australia. He was also in 2011's The Hunter with Willem Dafoe.
Hey, Willem Dafoe's making it big on this podcast this episode.
He's come up twice. There's the actors in here have some weird, interesting connections. Now, the kid that plays Monkey D. Luffy in Yaki Godoy, a Mexican, I assume a Mexican American, but he's Hispanic. I know that. He is known for his role as Juan Ruiz in The Imperfects.
Never saw it.
No, he hasn't been in a lot, but I assume he's going to be pretty big now as the main character in this ongoing IP that Netflix has tapped into now. And he's like, listen, I'll just say it. He's wonderful as the main character.
He is just like, he might be the male version of Zooey Deschanel from New Girl. That he's just adorkable.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
He's dorky, and yet, like, you just have this adorable charm about him.
He brings whatever it is he brings to the part that must be about just him as a person, like the real guy, this Iñaki young man. Mm-hmm. There's something about him that's just magnetic.
I will say he's a lot less cringe than Zooey Deschanel for New Girl, so if that's something that might hinder you, he's not cringe.
Emily Rudd, who's 30 years old, by the way.
No relation to Paul.
No, but she's been in some things. She was in the Netflix horror film trilogy, Fear Street. Mm-hmm. She's been in several movies you might recognize, but that we're not going to take the time to go over. But she's in this, and she's 30, and she appears to be younger in the show than that. Then the guy that was really interesting to me was the guy that plays Zorro.
Yes.
Mackenyu. He's 26 and is the son of actor and martial artist Sonny Chiba.
Boom. Knowledge dropped.
Yeah. So he's somebody, and I heard he made a ton of money for this. That was part of a viral, thing about some people are underpaid. They compared him to someone else. And I was just like, I don't even know who this is, but why is he getting paid so much? Well, because he's a lot bigger in other parts of the world than he is here, apparently. Because he's the son of Sonny Chiba.
So at first, I'm like, are they trying to go with Beast Boy vibes with the character of Zorro? Because he has green hair and...
Well, that's the anime part, where people have colored hair and there's just real no rhyme or reason to it.
The Teen Titans series... The guy had green hair, and then he turned into like a tiger.
So the Teen Titans series is an American attempt at anime, right? Basically. Isn't that what that is?
I guess.
They're trying to put the sensibilities of that into that animated show.
Well,
that was my understanding of it.
Not the animated series. I'm talking about like the HBO Titans series.
Okay, so the Teen Titans Go series.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure they tried to work in a lot of anime sensibilities into that.
I didn't watch it.
I
watched Titans.
You know that Teen Titans Go is a popular thing.
I do. I'm not uninitiated. Yeah. I just choose not to.
So basically, this show, One Piece, because I knew nothing about it going in. Essentially, it's about this kid, Monkey D. Luffy, who's grown up kind of rough. He's been kind of like he's almost like a Aladdin-ish street urchin type character. We see him interacting with older people in when he's young in a very orphanish type of way. Even though he's not, he clearly has a mom. But it's interesting because, first of all, this is a planet of, it seems like everybody is either a Marine or a pirate. Just pirates everywhere. Is this like Waterworld? Is that what it is?
Sure. Kevin Costner.
Which is a wonderful movie. If you haven't seen it, you should go check it out. Blink out a few hours of your day. Go watch the cinematic masterpiece that is Waterworld. I have friends who love Waterworld. Actually,
someone had to.
Non-ironically, they actually really love Waterworld, and they would watch it all the time. And every time I would just sit there and be like, I don't get it.
Yeah, that's the movie where I'm like, too much Kevin Costner.
But in whatever world we're on here, it's a world of oceans and pirates with little land masses here and there, I suppose.
And fish people.
They talk about the East Blue, and I assume there's the West Blue, and then maybe the North and South Blues. And in the middle of all this is something called the Grand Line.
Yeah.
Which is hard to get to, apparently. Because it's a big deal that one of the characters is a cartographer.
Yes.
She makes maps. Like, that's literally her value to a lot of these people in this world.
And she's also a bit of a klepto.
she's a thief. Anyways, the whole movie kind of revolves around this monkey character who we told you is impossibly good.
Yes.
He's just magnetic. He's impossibly good with good intentions towards everybody. And he wants to be a pirate, which is weird because, as you might have guessed, the pirates that populate this world are awful people.
The only good pirate's a dead pirate.
Does someone actually say that?
No, but it would have been great if they did.
It'd be like that's Sylvester Stallone's role. If Sylvester Stallone cameoed as a Marine. The only good pirate's dead pirate. Just have him show up and say the line, and then he can. And I'm the pirates are the disease, and I'm the cure. then he would go off screen. That's all we need you for, Sylvester. All we need you for, Sly. But here's Monkey D. Luffy, and when he says that he wants to be a pirate, he gets weird reactions. Right? Everybody's like, "What?"
And with that hat.
Because he is clearly not a bad dude.
Not a bad dude. Doesn't look like a ruffian. He's not muscular and scary or have facial hair or an eye patch.
Yeah.
He's missing some characteristics.
But his mentor, when he's a young kid, apparently is the only other pirate with the heart of gold.
Yeah. And a cool hat.
Guy named Shanks. Played pretty well by a guy named Peter Gadio.
Yeah, old Pete.
Yeah, who's been in a bunch of other things you don't know about. He's a British actor, best known for his role as James Valdez in the USA Network show Queen of the South. They just made that up.
As someone that has watched a lot of USA Network in his day, I've never heard of it.
So, anyways, basically, this whole show, in a sense, is the story of Monkey and this friend he meets in the first episode, Kobe, who is sort of the same track. He's down on his luck, street urchinish type kid, except kid who ended up on a pirate ship somehow. And he's been mopping the floors.
And he just wants to be a force of good as a Marine.
Yeah. And their paths cross. And immediately you see in the first episode this kind of interaction they're going to have, because one of them wants to be a pirate and the other one wants to be the, what would you call it? The arch nemesis of the pirate, the Marine. Because it's the Marines who keep this world safe from the pirates.
The few, the proud, the Marines.
So you have these two characters, but they're impossibly good-hearted. And they only have this connection in the first episode, and then they part ways. Well, the first couple of episodes.
Throughout the whole series.
And then basically what this show becomes and is a trope of we're getting the band together.
Yeah.
Although I say that to say I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I was in. This was really interesting to me. So this monkey guy just kind of goes through life picking up friends, making friends with people, one of which is Roronoa Zoro.
Zoro, as I call him.
Who's played by a one-named actor, the son of Sonny Chiba, as we've already discussed, Mackinu, who's, I think, is amazing.
Oh, yeah. He carries each scene he's in.
Yes, he's incredible. And he's my favorite character in the show is Zoro. And I want to know more about him. And this show does a good job that each of the main characters in the Monkey's crew gets like an episode where we see their background a little bit.
And like the ones that were introduced to early on, they wait towards the end to tell you their background.
Yes, because it's important to the story for them to be mysterious, but also they tell you their story when it matters to the overall plot.
Mm-hmm.
And so Monkey, Nami, played by Emily Rudd, Zoro, played by Mackinu, and then they pick up this chef who, that episode where we find out when we get Sanji's backstory, the chef who Zoro mistaken or hilariously refers to as a waiter. Yeah. Just to, get a rile out of him. Their like back and forth is really awesome in the last couple episodes.
It is.
But his episode with the background, his character's background was my favorite of the first season. And what I was surprised at was with all this weirdness, with all the anime sensibilities of it, it really tugged at my heart. And especially his episode
with Chef Zeph.
Chef Zeph. Zeph's a great character too. And their whole story, that was amazing.
So my wife's reaction to like how Zeph survives on the rock for 70 plus days.
Yeah.
I was like, ew. And she's like, no, he didn't. You can't do that. And I'm
Well, it's an anime and he did.
He did it.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what it is. You got to watch it.
Yeah.
That would ruin the shock factor of it.
It would.
But you should definitely watch it because it's good. But so Sanji, played by Taz Skylar, the adult version, not the flashback version. But basically, the whole story of this series, season 1 of One Piece, is Monkey putting his crew together. It's a get the band together trope. And his goal is to go out into the Grand Line, which is this mythical area of pirating out in the vast ocean somewhere, where allegedly something called the One Piece is hidden, this glorious treasure.
Yes. That we're introduced to at the very beginning, but yet don't know what it is.
No. And the very beginning scene, well, first of all, super effective. Like you're like, oh, this is really interesting. And this pirate who we're introduced to and really isn't really is not referred to very much except for near the end of season 1. He's referred to again. He's clearly got an ulterior motive going on here. Because spoilers, he's put to death in the first scene. In the first scene, in the flashback in the first scene. And it's clearly to start some sort of revolution. Am I reading that right?
Viva la revolucion.
He's trying to get people to rise up to do something. I don't think it would be fair to say we don't know what his motives are yet. But there's something played in the whole season 1, the whole show here, where pirating is freedom in a sense. Because the main character, Monkey D. Luffy, is constantly talking about freedom.
He is. And waving his fist in the air.
Yeah. And so I'm just saying, it's a really good show. And I enjoyed it. It's fun. So I'm going to ask you, Cody, what's good in it for you? What was the good stuff?
So I really did love the flashback storytelling for the main characters. Like Nami's story was effective. Zoro's story was effective. Sanji's was super effective. And then I would have to go with the fighting scenes.
Yeah, did you cry?
No, I didn't.
In any of the, I might have had a tear or two a couple times. The fighting scenes, you're right, are amazing. They're wonderfully done.
Zoro, and so he was going to be my favorite character. He was trending that direction. And then he has a fight scene with Mihawk, Myhawk, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah, Mihawk, who's essentially the pirates have warlords. Like these 8 legendary, is it 8?
7,
8, something like that. A handful of them, of these legendary pirates. And one of them is this Mihawk guy who, as soon as he comes on screen, the way they've outfitted him, makeup, whatever, his eyes are glowing. He's a screen presence, man.
Has an oversized sword.
His sword is huge. He wears a cross. First thing I thought when he came on screen is like, oh, Jesus exists in this universe.
He does.
Except his cross is like a tiny sword.
It's a little dagger. But so when like you get introduced to the cross not being just a necklace, he's like, I don't use a cannon to kill rabbits. And I'm like, yeah.
This show is full of amazing quotes.
And so he became my favorite because he's clearly the world's best swordsman at this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very interesting.
Zoro's not there yet.
Zoro's dream is to become the world's greatest swordsman.
Yes.
Has to do with his backstory and a friend he had. but that is his dream. And all the characters have a dream, don't they?
They do.
It's played up very big. And that's one of my, in the things that are good for me is this is deeper than just pirates pirating. There's deeper things going on here.
Well, at least with Luffy's crew.
The show is trying to say something. And so anything that I like, I love these kind of stories. In fact, the whole reason we're here, Pop Culture Pastor, is that we believe there's something deep in stories that speak to us as humans, that speak to us in a great way. That's one of the things we're about here. And this show qualifies. They talk about there's some deep, deep themes underneath the surface of this show, which is another reason I enjoyed it. The acting's great as far as things that are good.
Yeah.
Largely unknown cast. I recognize Vincent Regan, who plays Monkey D. Garp. That's his full name. So, yeah, he's clearly related to Monkey D. Luffy. But he's the Marine Vice Admiral, right, who's kind of chasing after him. And then we find out later he has a connection to Monkey D. Luffy.
Buggy looks familiar. And then you find out like he was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and like in Blade 2.
Yeah. Emily Rudd is somewhat familiar. I kept thinking Arlong the Pirate was familiar. And as I'm looking at his picture on the cast, he's played by McKinley Belcher III. I know I've seen him in things. He was in Ozark, which I watched a little bit of. He's been in things. So I found him really, really familiar.
As a bad guy, he was the baddest of the bad.
Yeah. So, but largely, I mean, these are actors you wouldn't recognize. I think that helps.
Yes.
I think that helps the show. And you're just dropped into this world, this crazy world of pirates. And so we've mentioned the cast, the fighting scenes. Is there anything else we should mention as this deep themes? It has really deep themes it's trying to grab onto and be rooted in. Anything else you'd say is good?
So from my perspective, and I know I'll get backlash, like it does a decent enough job trying to cram in a lot of information and backstory into this first season.
Yeah.
Where talking with people that have actually read the manga and watched the anime, that they're like, oh no, it could have went way deeper into the devil's fruit.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And I'm like, well, you know that it gives some weird powers and each person a different power.
They tell you just enough.
And that water is bad.
Yeah. So one of the things I was afraid of going in was knowing how big this IP is. There's literally been thousands of mangas and anime episodes.
Homeboy don't got time for that.
Yeah, and I looked at Funkos because that's what I do. The first thing I did when I was enjoying the show is I'm going to go see what Funkos are out there. And there's most of them are characters we haven't met yet.
Eek.
Yeah. So that seems kind of intimidating, but they do a really good job of kind of spoon feeding you what you need for the first season. They don't really go into the devil fruit at all in depth. You just pick up little pieces here and there. These are rare like fruits that if you eat it, it gives you some power. Mm-hmm. And you also it's like seawater is your kryptonite. Which in a world of pirates is bad.
It is like Bruce Willis in Unbreakable.
Oh, yeah. That's a good...
water touches him and he is falling down, can't stand up, can't move.
Well, again, this is a trope. Mm-hmm. This great power that comes with a great weakness.
It's very great weakness.
And so it's built around this mythology of this. And the way you should do any show that's introducing a mythology, it should be very slowly spoon-fed. We want to find out more as we go. I'm actually so much more excited about this show that I don't know the backstory. I am not a fan of the anime. So I would imagine I would put the people that were fans of the anime in the same boat I was when Marvel movies started coming out. And as I was a fan of the comic books. And so then you're already in an analysis mode. You're like, well, they better not mess this up or this up. You already have an expectation. Coming into this show with no expectations, I was wonderfully entertained.
It's like whenever Leah and I go and watch a Stephen King movie or book turn into a movie.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, they left out the best parts. And I'm like, no, they did great.
And Stephen King, he does not have a good history with his material being adapted. Like there's been some real winners, but there's been a lot of losers.
Dark Tower was fun. Oh. But evidently, if
that's the movie that shall not be named.
If you read 18 books, you will know, hey, jabroni.
You crammed 18 books into one movie? No.
It could have been so much better.
Still hoping for that streaming adaptation.
Yep.
But yeah, so the adaption part of this, it works really well for someone who doesn't know anything about it because I just had fun. This show was fun. Is there anything about it that you would put in the not good category? What's not good about One Piece?
It's pretty good, except like I have questions about certain characters and certain things, and so I have to wait a whole season at least.
Yeah, well, that's what's not good is this is, I mean, essentially, this is like the introduction. The whole 8-episode arc, you're getting your introduction to all these characters, and by the end of it, you're ready for the real story. You're ready for the thing, and you're going to have to wait a couple years.
Thanks a lot, Writer Strike.
Yeah, because the strike's not going to, well, it probably would have been almost a couple years anyways.
Thanks a lot, big budget Netflix.
I suppose it could take longer now, but yeah, that's not good. The other thing, stuff I would say it's not good is if you're not into anime, it's weird. It takes some getting used to. Like, that's why I said you have to really, it's not that it's not entertaining, but if you're not used to the anime kind of feel, it power through the first couple episodes. Because there's just weird, like the colored hair for no apparent reason. There's just some weird things going on.
The people that are animals.
Yeah, right.
Buggy, who is like a clown who's over the top. He's a clown pirate.
All the pirates, they do a good job of this in the show, but all the pirates you're introduced to, it's like the end boss of a level in a video game.
Yes.
They keep getting weirder and more dangerous, and it's represented in that they show like the wanted poster comes on the screen somehow with effects.
Yeah.
And you see the bounty, and the bounty keeps going up for the bigger, badder dudes and ladies.
Mihawk had a ginormous bounty.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool, but it's very weird. You got to get used to this kind of weird world they're in. And so I would say that's tough for someone who's not into the anime. There's just this anime sensibility about it.
I recommend watching Scott Pilgrim versus the World first, then going into it.
But and there's so many characters, and the world building is really rich, which I would also put on the good things. But any other things that are not good? That's all I could really think of.
No, that's it.
Let's talk about the deep themes here. Monkey D. Luffy is, in a lot of ways, a Jesus-like character for me. In that he draws people in. It's not a perfect one-to-one. That's not what I mean.
Because there was times that I thought it, and then there's times I'm like, oh, well, this doesn't fit.
He's impossibly good. He draws people to him, even though at first he's weird and nobody really, and people recognize that. It's like, what's wrong with this guy? Why is he so different? But he's magnetic in his impossible positivity in this world that's really kind of a scary place.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but he's all about his friends. That's what's most important to him. And being a pirate, which he weirdly has a different view of than everybody else in this world.
Give him the One Piece now.
The character of Kobe is different, and is another character who's you think through this different route is impossibly good too. He wants to be a Marine for all the right reasons, to protect people, to help people. One of the parts I remember was Usopp, who's part of Monkey's crew, who's always lying. He's the boy that cried wolf, essentially. Where in his home, his island, his home, he's known for saying pirates are coming when they're not. He's literally the boy who cried wolf. There's a scene where he runs into Kobe as a Marine and he says, "I believe you." And he's looking him in the eye and straight to his face says, "I believe you." And that was weirdly, wildly powerful in that moment. So there's something about that. One of the quotes, this show's full of quotes that are pretty deep. So Monkey D. Luffy is constantly saying, "I'm here for my friends," things like that. He said, being a pirate's not about raiding villages or perfect plans. It's about adventure and freedom. And that seems, there's an ongoing thing about freedom going on in this show. And then at one point, there was also something he says about, "I would never stand in the way in between my friends and their dream." He would never keep someone from their dream. And that's a big part of the story and about his crew. Because at one point they all like announce their dream. And so I don't really know that part of it. I just know that that's a deep theme in the show. It's about your dream and your interaction with that, how it affects the way you live your life.
Yeah. Throughout this series, it does. So there are some themes of survival, but more than surviving, actually thriving and living out your dream. The intro, like the very beginning of the show, when they introduce the pirate that is about to be killed, who had the One Piece, who hid the One Piece, what he says about the One Piece, it has this overall good, hopeful message to it, which goes contradictory to everything about like what you would assume pirates are like and what most of the pirates are like in the show. And so like I don't know why like any of the pirates would actually want it or go for it, because it does fit more like how Monkey D. Luffy experiences piracy.
Yeah. And what I like about his character especially, and the reason I say he's like an impossibly good character, is his dream that defines his life is obviously becoming king of the pirates and finding the One Piece. But we find out that that's not his number one priority. His number one priority are his friends, who essentially become more like family to him. Mm-hmm. Friends and family are a huge part of this show and a huge deep theme in it. And by the end of the season, they start gelling into that. Which I love. And they react, especially from Monkey's point of view. You see what he's willing to do for his friends. They're more like family to him.
So I found the quote that I was thinking of.
Okay.
From the very beginning. "My treasure, it's yours if you want it. Find it. I left all the world has there." Like, so the whole world's your treasure. And like, there was some deep, like, almost creator loving themes before that pirate, who shall not be named, got axed.
So as we're talking about deeper themes, I have some thoughts and theories about the One Piece. Do you think the One Piece is real?
I don't think it's a physical object.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think so at all. And I think there's something about something about unity that this show is trying to say. Mm-hmm. Now, people who watch the anime may be like, "No, Dave, the One Piece is real." I don't know. This is coming from someone who has no knowledge of it, but I'm just wondering if the One Piece isn't a real thing and that this is about something deeper. So yeah, that's
love each other. Be good.
That's some of the deep themes of the show. Who's the winner of the first season of One Piece, Cody?
Honestly, it is the guy that plays Monkey D. Luffy.
Yeah, Iñaki Godoy. Completely unknown.
Unknown to me.
A Mexican actor known for his role as Juan Ruiz in The Imperfects before this. And yeah, he is just magnetic. He's magnetic in this show. So I can't argue with that. But I'm going to go with another actor in the show, and I'm going to go with Makinyu. Another guy I'd never heard of. Known professionally as Makinyu Arata, or simply Makinyu, is a Japanese actor, son of actor and martial artist Sonny Chiba. And as you said earlier, he carries every scene he's in. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't always say a lot.
Nope.
Sometimes it's just him, in the background with like this kind of brooding look.
Scowling.
But he quickly became my favorite character in the show. And just the gravitas he carries with him as a young man, it's just impressive. But really, I'm going to give a shout out to all of the winner. In a real sense, the winner of this first season are all these actors and actresses who I'd never heard of, who are all wonderful. Taz Skylar as Sanji's great. Morgan Davies as Kobe. Emily Rudd as Nami. Even some of these side characters. Jeff Ward as the clown pirate guy, Buggy. He's wildly entertaining.
I needed more Buggy.
Peter Gadiot as Shanks, as kind of Monkey's mentor as a kid that is now conveniently missing. We don't know where he's at, which is clearly he's going to come up in the story again at some point. Jacob Gibson as Usopp, another member of Monkey's crew. They're all great. McKinley Belcher as Arlong is fantastic. I thought he was a great villain.
He had it coming to him.
But he's a perfect villain in the sense of one of the episodes in one of his monologues gives you his entire reason for being. And listen, back to the deep themes.
Class.
Slavery has been a problem in this world. And he has this interaction with one of the Marines where the Marine's like, yeah, but there's no slavery anymore. You're free. We're all equal now. And he says, are we? And I'm like, oh, wow, this show's going there. And we see his reasons for being a villain, of why he wants to take from this world. And man, so I would just say the entire acting crew in season 1 of One Piece is the winners, because they're going to be big now.
Maybe.
It is the most watched show on Netflix right now.
Swamp Kings was too, but Tim Tebow is still struggling to find
the
work.
Loser of this show is Tim Tebow.
Yes.
No, do you have a loser? Who's the loser of this show?
The fans, because we have to wait. So
yeah,
you're welcome.
The new fans, especially. Although I have heard this is drawing people towards the anime.
Because
they need more of the story now, and I've thought about it, but how many episodes?
Thousands.
I don't have that much time, but I do want to know more about Monkey D. Luffy's crew and their exploits.
Yep.
So the loser is us, because we got to wait for more of the story unless we go watch the anime, which we don't have time for. So bottom line, is this do you think this is a permanent crossover into mainstream entertainment that is here to stay?
I think some studios will see this as the new superhero comic books. That, if we live action anime and manga.
It's been tried, but not real successfully.
I think, you can go back and look at the Blade series. You can look at anything that wasn't Batman and Superman movie-wise, like in the 90s and 80s.
That's fair.
That it didn't land, and now everyone, their mom has an Iron Man tattoo.
The comic book and the comic book movie comparison's a fair comparison, because I don't think 20 years ago we'd have ever been sitting here talking about how comic book movies were going to dominate, and that it would be the most beloved for a little while, the most beloved movie kind of plot or genre that there would be. I don't think we would have thought that. And if you'd have told me they were going to make a 20 some movies on that would lead up to the Infinity Gauntlet saga, I'd have been like, you're crazy. That'll never happen.
Spoilers, it did.
It did. And so, yeah, there's this question of we will most certainly get more anime adaptions now as live action. But what do? Do you keep it? This show did a good job of kind of keeping that anime sensibility in the live action.
Well, I think if you're able to stretch your mind around superheroes or around sci-fi or around a lot of spiritual horror stuff, you should be able to do that. I give this show 9 straw hats.
9 straw hats. I'm also a 9. It's great. Great show. So that's it. What do you guys think of One Piece? Have you watched it? If you haven't, you should watch it. Go check it out. Tell us what you think on the social media posts about this, and we'll talk about it. Thanks for listening. Of course, subscribe, do all that stuff as well, and we will see you next time.
Pop Culture Faster.